Imagine a better world. They arrived without warning. No lights, no weapons, no theatrics. Just a fleet of identical silver structures appearing over every major city at once, as if they'd always been there and we had simply failed to notice. For 6 hours the world held its breath. Governments panicked, militaries mobilised, news anchors whispered, people prayed or filmed or fled. Then a single message broadcast across every frequency in every language with perfect pronunciation and no emotion at all. We have come to learn. It wasn't what anyone expected, it wasn't what anyone trusted, but it was the truth. They called themselves the Aurelians, though the name was chosen for our benefit. Their own language had no nouns, no metaphors, no poetry. It was a system of pure description, a language without lies. They were a civilization of scientists, not in the way we use the word, not a profession, a condition. Every Aurelian was a researcher, every action was an experiment, every belief was a hypothesis, every decision was a calculation. They had no hierarchy, no wealth, no ambition, no ego. They lived for the collective good because it was the most efficient way to live. They had mastered physics, biology, engineering, medicine, energy and mathematics to degrees we could barely comprehend. But they lacked one thing. Not intelligence, not empathy, not curiosity. They lacked imagination. They could not conceive of things that did not exist. They could not invent stories. They could not create fiction. They could not lie. They could not anticipate lies. They had never needed to. They found us by accident. Our radio waves, our films, our dramas, our comedies, our pulp sci-fi, our superhero fantasies, our propaganda, our advertising, all of it drifting into space like a cloud of dreams. To them, it was a new form of physics, a phenomenon they'd never encountered. They thought our stories were real. They thought our myths were history. They thought our lies were data. They came to Earth not to conquer, but to understand the strange human ability to create things that did not exist. They asked us to teach them, and we did. It was an exchange. We sent writers, filmmakers, actors, animators, storytellers, comedians, philosophers, anyone who could create narrative. The Aurelians welcomed them with open arms and unlimited resources. Their world was clean, efficient, abundant. No poverty, no crime, no conflict, no hunger. They built entire cities for us. Studios, libraries, theatres, workshops, schools. They wanted to learn imagination the way they learned chemistry. But imagination is not a science. They could analyse a story, they could map its structure, they could predict its beats, but they could not feel it, they could not dream it, they could not invent it. They watched our films with fascination, not understanding why characters made rational choices. They read our novels like case studies. They confused news broadcasts with fiction and fiction with anthropology. They loved our expressions, the way we laughed, cried, gasped, argued, lied, hoped. They treated us like cultural ambassadors, like honoured guests, like teachers, and we lived among them for decades. The Aurelians never changed, not really. They remained brilliant, gentle, rational, trusting. They built, they studied, they asked questions, they welcomed us deeper into their world. And we, being human, did what humans do. We organised, we advised, we guided, we suggested, we recommended, we oversaw, we directed. Just a slow, quiet shift, a drift of influence, a soft rearranging of roles, a gentle assumption of authority. The Aurelians had mastered every science but one, the science of what might be. They could not imagine stories, they could not imagine lies, they could not imagine ambition. They never imagined that people could want more than they needed. They never imagined that the species they welcomed would take their world from them, but we did. Because imagination is the sharpest blade in the universe, and it was ours alone.